people want me dead. They call it justice. I'm the only one who knows the truth. All I have left is the wind by my side.
What is up guys, welcome back. Today we are playing some Yasuo and I'm also going to show you a new build. So the main reason for this build is the fact that they buffed overheal, so the rune in the precision tree, which basically means that it is a massive buff from level 5 and onwards. Level 1 obviously, if you play against a melee champion, you just force the level 1 fight. If they're trying to trade when you have lethal tempo, and especially on Yasuo compared to Yone because you also have that passive shield, you just take the fight. A lot of the times you just force the flash out, and in this case that was going to end up in a kill. So we'll take that. I don't know why he's playing Sion mid, I think he's a Sion main or something, but doesn't really matter. We got that lead that we wanted, so now we can go ahead and reset. Remember, it's really important that you constantly weave in those auto attacks, and a good thing here is that if they are constantly like moving side to side trying to dodge your Q, you can just hold your Q and then just keep auto attacking, so you can like predict their movement and then you can throw out the Q afterwards. So just keep auto attacking so you can learn how they're moving, you know, how they're trying to dodge stuff. And once you learned it, that's when you can throw out the Qs. But you can see if you can force fights like this, then that is definitely going to result in a lead, either a lot of HP lost, a summoner gun, or even a kill. But we're going to skip the shield bow. That item is actually pretty bad. The reason used to buy this was because we had no other options. But we can get a lot of the stats that we need from the shield bow through other items, you know, like the Zeal, the Phantom Dancer, Bloodthirster for the lifesteal, and the Massive Shields too. And when you combine Overheal with the Bloodthirster shield, that is going to give you some gigantic shields, guys. That's absolutely ridiculous. It's gonna make you so tanky, and then we also go for a mythic item that also makes you tanky. So, you know, Yasuo and Yone have that weakness where they have really high DPS, but they're also very squishy. They get shot down pretty easily. With this build, you can actually afford to tank a lot of damage with a shield, and also because you will have a tanky mythic item instead of the shield bow. But of course, Yasuo has a way stronger laning phase compared to Yone, so that is definitely something you want to look to abuse when you can. And be careful not spamming that wind wall, or like using it off cooldown, because it does have a pretty high cooldown. Save it for something important. Sometimes, you know, you can use it to like hide in which direction your Q tornado is going if you're using the wind wall for that, but make sure that it's not going to cost you the fight. See, I always like to play really aggressive on Yasuo. I've been playing him a lot in the past as well. And the way I learned him fast is just basically by limit testing a lot, you know. Playing really aggressive. In the start I actually died a lot to ganks and stuff, and also because of bad trades. But eventually that actually resulted in me learning the limits on this champion. I know what I can go for and I know what I cannot go for. And it's not only for Yasuo, but for every champion in the game. You have to limit test a lot, but if you're going to limit test, of course I recommend that you do that in a normal game and not in ranked, because that might cost you a lot of LP. So the start of the build is still the same, Berserkers always, like you cannot play this champ without Berserkers. It's gonna feel so awkward when you don't have any attack speed. Because of course attack speed means that your Q cooldown is going to be lower. And I have this super annoying bug. I accidentally clicked on the red pot, I think, because I wanted to like move it up. I need to have them in a certain spot in the backpack, otherwise I misclick all the time and I ended up using it, so that's a bit unfortunate. I also have that bug where you cannot see anything in the shop. I don't know why that appears. It's a bit strange. Like, I had it several times this patch, so I think it's a general bug right now. And when you're under the tower and you're playing against a melee champ, when they're trying to walk up to CS, Q spam, Q spam, Q spam. Just poke them as much as possible. And the reason we're going for the seal next item, of course it does make your early game stronger, but we also need that attack speed, because after this item we're gonna build straight into the Bloodthirster, and by doing that we are skipping on the attack speed from the shield bow. So with the attack speed from the seal and the boots and lethal tempo makes up for the loss of attack speed by not going shield bow. And that's a pretty free kill right there. I could probably have gotten the Scion too. But it's okay. We are getting a huge lead, and then we can just back off here. We can buy the seal. As I said, massive early game spike. And this shop bug is still there. It's a bit annoying, but you can still buy stuff. Like, it looks like it's going to lock you out from buying, but you still can. As I said, seal, the reason you buy it early on, it gives you a pretty good spike because you get attack speed. You also get a little bit of bonus movement speed, which is nice for especially your E. And then you also get crit. So we already have 75% crit right now, just for these two items alone. So that's awesome. Because our ultimate, we don't get that armor pen unless we crit. But this gives us a lot of the early stats that we are looking for, and then we can, build towards the newer, well, not really new items, but like the new build. So that is going to be the Bloodthirster, another thing that gives you a lot of shield. Massive shields, when you combine that with the overheal. As I said, overheal is way stronger from level 5 and onwards. That is why you can really start feeling the buff. And then you also have the Bloodthirster giving a lot of sustain, so you can trade and stuff in the lane. Take a lot of bad fights, and then you just find a random monster camp or a minion wave, and then you heal back up. So basically just out-sustain your opponent. This is something I do a lot, guys. When I push in the wave, I just go to the enemy raptor camp, take that camp away, and that is basically how you extend your CS lead by a lot. That is how you're going to get those massive CS numbers later on in the game. Especially on something like a Yasuo, a champion that has really low cooldowns. You can easily take down the raptor camp pretty fast. Well, I decided to stay for another wave here because that means that I can, buy the Vamp Scepter. I don't want to base and then not being able to get the sustain. Now we can recall here, so we can get the lifesteal. We are not going to buy the shield bow, guys. It is of course going to be the Bloodthirster, giving us lots of damage, a really nice shield, and also really nice sustain. A bit obvious gank that he died from, but yeah, we can't really do much about that. You can't really control the other players. So you can ping, spam ping. That is what I do all the time, because if you just ping once, they don't see it. Definitely not if they're in a fight already. If you just spam ping, much higher chance of them seeing it, and then maybe you might, end up saving them. Also, when you ult on Yasuo, don't just immediately press your... Like, when you're going to knock up somebody, don't immediately press up your ultimate. You knock somebody up, either you do it from your Q, or your allies do it, and then if you have enough attack speed, you do a fast EQ combo like I did on the Sion right here, or that's one auto attack and then ult. It allows you to increase the DPS, but you also kind of maximize the time they are CC'd in the air. And that is something you always want to do, unless of course you can just finish off the target instantly. This Amumu is really looking to shut me down in the mid lane. But this is Yasuo and not Yone, so of course super high outplay potential even early on in the game. This mobility and the wind wall makes him really hard to deal with. So you know, even if you are in bad matchups, you can still play around those. Because a lot of Yasuo's matchups, they are skill based. But that kill allowed us to get the BF sword here, and then on the next recall we will get the Bloodthirster. So that is going to be the first big item. Afterwards you just go straight into the Infinity Edge, and that is going to give you insane DPS. Insane DPS with massive shields. So somebody can like combo you down and you'll lose no HP, because on Yasuo it can actually be even stronger just because of the fact that you also have a passive shield. So if they're dealing a ton of damage, your passive shield, overheal shield and the Bloodthirster shield, you can actually tank all of it. Always do that combo I talked about, guys. Always do that. It increases your DPS. Another thing, it also gives you a free Q stack. Now for some reason in the ability description, if you look at websites and stuff, then it says that when you EQ and you ult somebody, then it's going to reset his passive stacks, like Q stacks, but that is not the case. And it is fully intended as well. I guess they just haven't like updated the descriptions or something. We're not doing an EQ and then ulting, that is not going to reset the Q stacks. So by doing that, you're going to increase your DPS. You also make it so your tornado comes up a lot faster after you ult it. So no matter how you're looking at it, it gives you a massive advantage. Now that we have this big of a lead, we almost have 10 CS per minute. But of course, it's not, you know, you cannot have this every single game, but I always have at least, you know, 7 CS per minute, no matter which game. And that is something you can always do, no matter if there are a ton of ARAMs, you just have to know, also remember that you can also pick up the jungle camps, and then you also have to understand how you bounce the waves. You know, you actually make sure that when you push out a wave, you make sure that it crashes into the tower, because that will eventually result in the enemy minion wave to push towards your side of the lane. And if you understand these basic concepts, then it's pretty easy to get at least 7 CS per minute. Lots of fighting going on topside. We just stay mid and then we just push it out. We have, of course, the Bloodthirster, so you can see the shielding coming in. So yes, they could take out your passive shield really fast, but if you consider like an assassin, you know, they have to use their stuff really fast. And because of that, your passive shield and the other shields you're getting, all of that will end up being helpful. But of course the Bloodthirster shield is not permanent, you have to keep auto-attacking something to like keep it up. But it doesn't really matter, cause when you split push you always, you know, have a minion wave or something that you can constantly hit, or maybe even the Grump or the Golems. He's bot side, so just keep pushing this out. This is more like an oppressive way of playing the game, you know, just brute forcing your way through. Which is something I do if I'm really fat, to the point where I can easily 1 vs 2 the mid and enemy jungle or somebody else. Otherwise, I would just go on a roaming adventure. So after showing out everything, I would probably just roam bot most of the time. Because it is bot lane meta, you get your bot lane ahead, they're gonna carry the game. Unless they are boosted, of course, but you get the idea. Either you roam or you can brute force your way through the lane if you're really fat like I am right here. We're gonna go straight for the Kai'Sa. She's really low HP, so we don't have to use any sums at all. That of course resulting in a ton of free kills, and then Mordekai's also stomping topside, which he should because he's a counter to Illaoi. And then just, you know, when you rotate, just pick up the jungle camps on the way. That is the reason that you can, you know, easily get to 10 CS per minute in some of your games. Because on Yasuo and Yone it is so easy. And also any other champion will, you know, really short cooldowns. But especially, you know, carry type champs like Yasuo, Yone, Tryndamere, you can just immediately clean out the jungle camps. So if you cannot fight and you show out the wave, then just into the jungle camp, pick up that camp and then wait for the next wave to appear. Waiting a bit for the Amumu. Slight disaster that he hit the Q the moment I knocked him up. Also another thing that you want to keep in mind, even if you knock somebody up, if you get CC'd during that time, you cannot ult. No ultimate. And in high elo, this is not high elo, but like in high elo, people always try to do that. They would use their stuff the moment you are knocking them up. Now we got like the 2 core components, so it's like the Bloodthirster into the Infinity, so it's pretty much the same or almost the same as Yone. But here we are going to go for the Gauntlet. It actually gives us a lot of nice stats, also with the passive. And the Frost Field and the Sheen procs, everything. So imagine you have lots of damage, you have a massive shield, and then you also become super tanky because you have a Gauntlet. Unlucky, he flashed out. I tried to like, you know, knock up the Illaoi and then kill the Amumu fast and then ult the Illaoi. That did not work out, but we still got them in the end. There's no way they're escaping from a fed Yasuo. You actually also have a lot of bonus movement speed because of the seal giving you that extra bit of speed. That can actually help out a lot when it comes to chasing down targets without a minion wave, or even when it comes to escaping. Already right now we are so tanky with the shielding, but just wait until we have finished the Phantom Dancer and then we get the Gauntlet. It's going to be so hard, and this build is actually really strong if you're playing against assassins, because then you can get the Gauntlet even earlier if needed. you know, focusing down the carries. I just ignored the top laner so I could go for the Kai'Sa too. One knock-up is all it took, then I could easily cap close, and she is toast. Now we can just push as a team. Unfortunately, we did not get the Baron. I was not paying attention to what happened, but I guess Amumu somehow yoinked that one. But once we recall, we have enough gold for the Phantom Dancer. We're just gonna clean out the jungle really fast. While they're fighting mid, we can just take away this stuff. I don't know what's there, like when we get everything we need to, I don't do that ARAM business a lot of people like to do. I get everything we need and then I move on. I don't just AFK mid for no reason, because that's how you end up throwing the games. Alright, the Phantom Dancer. So when they changed Mortal Reminder, so it became an armor pin item, of course it does not build into the seal anymore. So now you just get the Phantom Dancer, which is of course better when it comes to increasing your DPS. Of course, with us being insanely fed, more than 10 CS per minute, we're gonna shred absolutely everybody. But even if you're not fed, if you have decent farm and you get to that item power spike, it's over. You're gonna destroy most champs in the game. And even the hard matchups, you can still outplay them. Because as I said, it's a skill matchup. A lot of the champions will meet mid. You can see I just left the Sion because he was ulting straight into the Mordekaiser, so we can just let him deal with that. Like I said, I don't waste time. I'm not going to chase that kill when I know that he has no way out. So I just leave him to Mordekaiser and then I just keep pushing it out. When we go ahead and recall, we have the gauntlet and look at the shield we have right now. Tell me that is not insane. And they also decided to buff this and then nerf Triumph. So it's pretty obvious what the choice is going to be from now on and onwards until they make any further changes. Because this shield is not balanced. They were intending this to be a, you know, buff for AD carries, but of course Yasuo and Yone melee AD carries, so whenever AD carries can abuse something, most of the time these two can do that as well. And now we have the gauntlet. And then the last item is optional. You can get whatever you need, but ideally, or most of the time, a distance is the correct option, because that is also another item that helps you becoming a lot tankier and while also increasing your damage. So a hybrid item like the distance, always great. But you know, if they don't have any armor whatsoever, or like physical damage, not armor, and they're full magic damage, then you can also go for Force of Nature or a Withstand if you're going for the DPS path. That's definitely also possible. If I have to be honest with you guys, I have absolutely no clue what happened this fight. Absolutely no idea. But all I know is that I survived because I had the gauntlet. If I had any other item right now, you know, the normal shield bow, I would have been toast. And of course also me being fed, so you can just shred that last target that we ulted and then peace out. But you can see where I'm going with this build. You have lots of damage, you also have lots of survivability, and then you also have some extra utility with that, you know, slow field that you're getting from the gauntlet. So it actually makes him a bit easier to play. He's still a very difficult champion, but with this build, it's way harder to punish you, even when you make mistakes. And especially assassin players will hate you for using this build because they'll be dealing no damage. They're just constantly fighting bot side. So yeah, there's that, and we are about to get flanked. Which you can expect when you're playing Yasuo. Everybody wants to kill the Yasuo. Easy way out, and as you can see, the outplay potential on this champion, as long as you have a minion wave, is pretty much endless. We can go for the Baron right here, but we can also just camp in the bush and then wait for somebody to come and fish check. Sometimes people will use their stuff ability, sometimes they just walk straight in. In this case, their support was smart enough, but this is something I abuse a lot because sometimes, you know, people don't bother using their abilities. Instead, they walk within range so they can ward, and when they're within that range, they're usually within range of your stuff. They can get some free damage off, or you might even be able to get the kill and then turn that into a free Baron. And that's just one minion wave, and then we are back to full HP. With a little shield right there that can of course grow stronger if we can keep auto attacking something, but it is so fun, man. This build is so fun, so I can definitely recommend you guys to try it out. You might wonder why I did not keep chasing, and that is because the Amumu was waiting right above here, so I could have gotten ulted. And really not worth it since I'm this far ahead, so I have the highest bounty in the game, you know. So being patient is also another really important thing when you play these high mechanical difficult champions like the Yasuo, Aurelia, and so on. But that's it for this video, guys. I highly recommend that you guys try out this new build, and if you do, let me know how it works out for you. I can guarantee it's lots of fun. But yeah, that was the video. Hope this was helpful. Thanks for watching, and see you all next time.